Welcome, traveler. Close your eyes now, not to sleep, but to awaken to a different kind of reality, a deeper one. Take a deep, slow breath in, and as you fill your lungs, imagine you are breathing in the cool, silent air of a vast open plain under a clear, star-drenched night sky. Hold that breath for a moment, feeling the potential of the cosmos within you. And as you exhale, release everything. All the certainty, all the learned knowledge, all the noise of the modern world. Let it flow out of you with your breath, leaving behind a quiet, open space. A space for wonder. In this stillness, I want you to ask yourself a question. A simple question, but one that has the power to unravel the very fabric of what you think you know. What if our history books do not contain the whole truth? What if the stories we tell ourselves about our past, the rise of civilization, the pyramids, the sudden leaps in human knowledge, are merely fragments of a much larger, much more incredible story? A story not just of human ingenuity, but of cosmic intervention. Now, ask a second question, and let your mind truly wander as you contemplate it. What if the stars are not just points of light? What if they are not merely distant suns or pretty constellations? What if, long ago, they were something else entirely? Lighthouses, beacons, navigational waypoints on a vast interstellar ocean. Highways in the great dark sea of space, traveled by those who knew how to read them. Welcome, seeker, to the greatest mystery of all. Welcome to the threshold of the ancient astronaut theory. This is not a journey we undertake to discard science, but to expand its borders. We will hold the scalpel of skepticism in one hand and the compass of speculation in the other. Our guide will not be blind belief, but a relentless, courageous curiosity. We are about to look at the artifacts of our own world, the myths of our own ancestors, and ask, is there another possible explanation? The music you hear, the soft, earth-shattering space music, the mystical and trance-inducing sounds of singing bowls and synthesizers, is the soundtrack to this inquiry. It is the vibration of the void, the hum of a starship's engine, the resonant frequency of a forgotten memory. Let it carry you. And as you listen, allow the visuals to form in your mind's eye. See the Earth, our beautiful blue-green marble, floating in the immense blackness. See it as the astronauts saw it, a single fragile home. But now, watch as this image begins to blend with others. The star fields of the Milky Way, not as a static picture, but as a flowing river of light, veiled in a soft white nebula. And superimposed upon this cosmic tapestry, the silhouettes of our most ancient and mysterious monuments. The great pyramids of Giza, stark against the sunset. The massive stone heads of Easter Island gazing upward. The lines in the Peruvian desert, so vast they can only be seen from the heavens. This is our starting point, the collision of the familiar and the alien, the earth and the sky, the known and the utterly unknown. The ancient astronaut theory, at its heart, is a simple proposition. It suggests that in the remote past, our planet was visited by intelligent beings from another world. These beings possessed technology so advanced it would have been indistinguishable from magic, or indeed from divinity. They did not come as conquerors necessarily, but perhaps as explorers, as scientists, as teachers. And when they arrived, they found a species ripe with potential, early humankind, and they interacted with us. The theory proposes that the evidence for this contact is not hidden in a secret government warehouse, but is hidden in plain sight. It is etched into the very stones of our most enduring structures. It is woven into the foundational myths and religions of every culture on this planet. It is encoded in our DNA. The pyramids, for instance, how is it that ancient cultures across the globe, supposedly isolated from one another, all decided to build massive, geometrically perfect pyramidal structures? The Egyptians, the Mayans, the Mesopotamians with their ziggurats, the ancient Chinese. Is this merely a case of great minds think alike? Or is it the legacy of a single shared instruction? A blueprint given by starfaring visitors. Consider the sudden and unexplained leap in human civilization known as the Neolithic Revolution. For millions of years, our ancestors lived as hunter-gatherers. Then, seemingly overnight in geological terms, around 10,000 years ago, we learned to farm, to domesticate animals, to build cities, to study the stars with incredible precision, to create complex mathematics and law. What catalyzed this dramatic shift? Was it purely our own doing? Or could it have been a helping hand? Look at the myths. Every ancient culture speaks of gods who descended from the heavens. The Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki, who came from a planet called Nibiru to mine gold, and who created humankind to be their workers. The Hindu Vedas describe the Vimanas, magnificent flying chariots that fought wars in the skies. The Bible tells of Ezekiel's wheel, a vision of a fantastic, crystalline vehicle accompanied by fiery beings. The indigenous peoples of the Americas, Australia, and Africa all have stories of star people who brought them knowledge of agriculture, medicine, and law. Are these all just primitive attempts to explain lightning and thunder? Or are they the historical records of a pre-literate society describing momentous, real events with the only vocabulary they had? If a helicopter landed in a medieval village, the witnesses would describe it as a fiery dragon or a chariot from God. What if our ancestors were doing the same? This is the essence of what we will explore. We are not asking you to believe. We are asking you to consider, to wonder. So, as you settle into this space, let go of the need for a definitive answer. Embrace the mystery itself. Feel the awe that comes from contemplating a universe that is far stranger, far more interconnected, and far more wonderful than we have been taught. Breathe into the possibility that you are not just a citizen of a country, or even of Earth. You are a citizen of a cosmos teeming with life and intelligence. You are the descendant of a story that spans galaxies. The evidence is all around you. You just have to learn how to see it. Let this feeling of vast cosmic connection fill you. The music, the images, the questions, they are all doorways. You have just stepped through the first one. Rest here, in this expanded state of awareness. The journey has only just begun. We now descend from the vast, star-filled overview of possibility and land our focus on the most enduring and widespread enigma on our planet, the pyramid. This is not merely an architectural study. It is a deciphering of a potential message written in stone and scattered across the globe, and perhaps across our solar system. Let the music now deepen, becoming more resonant, more grounded. Introduce the low, vibrating hum of a singing bowl, the sound of stone itself, and the subtle electronic pulse of a signal waiting to be received. We are beginning our investigation in earnest with Chapter 1, the global language of the pyramids. As you settle into this new phase of our journey, bring your awareness to your own body. Feel the solidity of your skeleton, the structure that supports you. Imagine now that you are not just flesh and bone, but stone and geometry. You are a living monument, aligned with the same cosmic principles we are about to explore. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, feel yourself becoming still, patient, and enduring, like the ancient structures we will contemplate. Our first piece of evidence does not come from Earth, but from our neighboring world, the red planet Mars. Recall our previous journey there. Recall the Cydonia region. In your mind's eye, see again the famous controversial formations. The face, a mile-long visage staring blankly at the Martian sky, a monument to our own pattern-seeking minds. But look beyond the face. See the pyramids, specifically the pentagonal pyramids rising from the rust-colored plain with a geometry that feels too sharp, too intentional to be entirely random. From the moment the Viking orbiters beamed these images back to Earth in the 1970s, they have been a rift in our understanding. Mainstream science, with its cautious and necessary skepticism, offers compelling natural explanations. It speaks of mesas, of buttes, of the patient, billion-year-long artistry of wind erosion. It points to the powerful human tendency for pareidolia, seeing faces in clouds, shapes in constellations, and meaning in random shapes. This explanation is logical, comfortable, and entirely plausible. But our journey is about holding two truths simultaneously. So, in your other hand, hold the alternative. What if, against all odds, these are not natural formations? What if they are the skeletal remains of something that was built? The crumbling, sand-blasted ruins of structures that once had a purpose, on a world that was once alive. The data is inconclusive, and that is the very space where wonder grows. It allows us to ask the foundational, breathtaking question that bridges the gulf between worlds. Could the same architect have built the pyramids on Mars and on Earth? This question is our launching pad. We now turn our gaze homeward to the most famous pyramids of all, those on the Giza Plateau in Egypt. We will look at them not as tombs, but as technological and mathematical marvels that defy simple explanation. Let us begin with their orientation. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to the cardinal points with an accuracy that stuns modern surveyors. Its north-south axis is oriented with a deviation of just 0.05 degrees. To put that in perspective, this is a level of precision that rivals what we can achieve with modern GPS and satellite technology. How did an ancient civilization, supposedly using rudimentary tools, achieve such perfection? The conventional explanation involves sighting on stars, but the precision remains, even after 4,500 years, a silent testament to a knowledge we have perhaps forgotten. Now, let us step inside the very geometry of the Great Pyramid. The numbers themselves begin to whisper secrets. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height is approximately 2 times pi. That is, if you take the height and multiply it by 2 and then by pi, you get the perimeter. This mathematical constant, pi, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, is elegantly encoded in its square base and triangular sides, a representation of squaring the circle. A profound philosophical and mathematical concept. But it does not stop there. The golden ratio, phi, approximately 1.618, appears repeatedly in its proportions. This ratio is found throughout nature, in the spiral of a nautilus shell, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, and the proportions of the human body. Its presence in the pyramid suggests a deep understanding of a fundamental aesthetic and mathematical principle of the universe. Now, feel the scale of this. The Great Pyramid was originally composed of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. Each of these blocks weighs an average of 2.5 tons. That is the weight of a large male African elephant. And many of the blocks in the interior chambers, like the granite slabs in the King's Chamber, weigh between 25 and 80 tons. These were quarried from a site over 500 miles away, transported, and then lifted to heights of nearly 480 feet. We are told this was done with ramps, ropes, copper chisels, and tens of thousands of workers. And perhaps it was. But stand at the base of this colossus and try to imagine the process. The precision with which these multi-ton blocks were cut to fit together with joints so tight you cannot slide a credit card between them. The logistics of feeding and housing a workforce large enough to build this in a single pharaoh's lifetime. It is a monumental achievement by any standard. But does the conventional explanation fully account for the sheer, audacious, almost inhuman level of precision and engineering? For many, it remains an open question, a puzzle with missing pieces. This mystery deepens exponentially when we lift our gaze from Egypt and look at our entire planet. For the pyramid is not an Egyptian invention, it is a global phenomenon. Travel across the Atlantic to the jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula. Here stands the magnificent step pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza. Though stylistically different, its core form is a pyramid, aligned with such precision that during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun creates a play of light and shadow down the staircase that resembles a serpent slithering from the heavens to the earth. This is not a random decoration, it is a complex, integrated astronomical and architectural event. Now, journey to the arid plains of modern-day Iraq. Here, the ancient Sumerians built their ziggurats, massive, terraced pyramid structures with a temple at the summit, a literal bridge to heaven. The ziggurat of Ur, built over 4,000 years ago, was a towering, three-tiered structure, a focal point for their society and their worship of gods, they said came from the sky. And in China, scattered across the landscape and often overgrown with vegetation, are numerous earthen pyramids. The most famous, the White Pyramid near Xi'an, is said to be even larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. While shrouded in more secrecy, their existence points to the same impulse, the same architectural blueprint, appearing independently in a land isolated by vast mountains and deserts. How do we explain this? Conventional archaeology speaks of independent invention or cultural diffusion over millennia, but the parallels go beyond mere shape. Look at the shared knowledge. The star Sirius, the brightest in our sky, was revered with profound importance by both the ancient Egyptians and the Dogon people of Mali, who possessed surprisingly accurate knowledge of its 50-year orbital cycle with a tiny, invisible white dwarf companion star. Information they claim was given to them by amphibious beings from the Sirius system. Furthermore, advanced astronomical concepts like the precession of the equinoxes, the slow 26,000-year wobble in Earth's axis, appear to be encoded in myths and structures across these cultures. This is not simple stargazing. This is a complex understanding of long-term celestial mechanics. So, we are faced with a global pattern, the pyramid form, advanced astronomical knowledge, and myths of sky gods. Is this all a grand coincidence, or does it point to a different origin story? This brings us to the heart of our meditation, our central "what if?" for this chapter. What if the pyramids were never meant to be tombs at all? What if their purpose was far more profound, far more functional? What if they were part of a universal, interstellar communication network? Imagine the pyramid not as a silent tomb, but as a kind of cosmic router, a resonant transmitter and receiver of energy. Its precise geometry, its alignment with the Earth's magnetic fields and with specific celestial bodies could have allowed it to tap into the planet's own energy grid. Perhaps these structures were designed to send and receive information across the vast distances of space, using a physics we are only beginning to glimpse. The global distribution would then make perfect sense. They were nodes in a planetary or even interplanetary network. Or what if they were energy amplifiers? The unique properties of certain types of stone, like the quartz-rich granite in the King's Chamber, are known to generate a piezoelectric charge under pressure. The very structure of the pyramid, with its converging lines and specific internal chambers, could have been designed to focus and amplify subtle Earth energies for a purpose, perhaps for healing, for power, or for a technology we can scarcely imagine. Feel this idea. Don't just think it, sense it. Imagine the Great Pyramid of Giza, not as a dusty relic, but as a fully active machine. Humming with a low-frequency resonance, its capstone perhaps made of a crystalline material, glowing with a soft, otherworldly light, connected energetically to its counterparts in Mexico, Mesopotamia, and China. And perhaps even to the silent, dust-covered structures in the Cydonia region of Mars. A silent, stone web connecting worlds. This is the global language of the pyramids. It is not a language of words, but a language of form, of mathematics, of alignment. It is a message left for us by someone or something that understood the fundamental code of the universe. Whether that someone was an incredibly advanced, lost human civilization or a teacher from the stars, the message is the same. Look deeper. The universe is not what it seems. You are connected to a greater whole. As you sit with this revelation, let the resonance of the singing bowls wash over you. Feel the vibration in your own body, your own personal pyramid. What energies are you capable of transmitting and receiving? What ancient knowledge is coded into your very cells? Rest here in the shadow of these ancient, silent teachers. Breathe in the mystery and breathe out the need for simple answers. Simply be present with the awe of it all. We now transition from the towering, vertical mysteries of the pyramids to enigmas written on a vast, horizontal canvas. We move from structures that reach for the stars to designs that can only be comprehended from them. The resonant hum of stone gives way to a new soundscape, the whisper of wind over a barren plain, the gentle lap of ancient seas against forgotten shores, and the subtle, electronic crackle of a charted yet unknown world. Welcome to Chapter 2. The secrets of flightless flight and maps. As we begin, find a comfortable, grounded position. Feel your connection to the earth beneath you. Now, imagine that connection softening. Imagine your consciousness gently detaching from your physical form, lifting up, floating free. You are not in your body anymore. You are a point of awareness, a silent observer drifting upwards, higher and higher. The room below you shrinks, the city becomes a grid of light, the country a patchwork of colors, and the continent a massive shape against the blue of the ocean. You are now in orbit, looking down. This is the perspective we need for the first great mystery. Beneath you, the coast of Peru unfolds. The Andes Mountains rise like a rocky spine, and then, nestled between the peaks and the Pacific, you see it, the Nazca Desert. A high, arid plateau, a vast, tan-colored canvas. And on this canvas, Someone, long ago, drew. But they did not draw on a piece of paper or a cave wall. They drew on the very skin of the earth itself. From this vantage point, the artwork becomes clear. Not just lines, but immense, complex geoglyphs. A hummingbird with wings outstretched, over 300 feet long. A spider, perfectly proportioned, its legs spanning the dust. A monkey with an intricately coiled tail. A condor, a whale, a tree. And alongside these biomorphic figures, vast geometric shapes, miles-long straight lines that run perfectly true across the uneven terrain, immense trapezoids, triangles, and spirals that seem to point towards the horizon. The scale is staggering. The figures are so large that their forms are completely indiscernible from the ground. You can walk along the line of the monkey's tail and have no idea you are tracing a work of art. You can stand on the hummingbird's wing and see only a trench in the gravel. Their beauty, their meaning, their very existence is only revealed from the air. This is the inescapable fact of the Nazca Lines. Conventional archaeology offers its explanations. They were created by the Nazca culture between 500 BCE and 500 CE by removing the top layer of reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles to reveal the light-colored sand beneath. The how is relatively straightforward. It is the why that echoes through the centuries. The leading theories are religious or astronomical. Perhaps they were ritual pathways, walked by priests to invoke deities associated with water and fertility in this desperately dry land. Perhaps they were a giant astronomical calendar, their lines pointing to celestial events on the horizon, marking the solstices and the cycles of the stars. These are plausible, human-scale explanations. They fit within the understood boundaries of ancient human behavior. But let us, as we have learned to do, hold another possibility. What if the intended audience was not on the ground? What if the lines and figures were meant to be seen from above? The most provocative theory is that the Nazca Plateau was a kind of prehistoric airfield. The long, straight lines and wide trapezoids, cleared of all obstructive stones, resemble modern runways. Could they have been landing strips for something? For aircraft of an advanced, perhaps extraterrestrial civilization? The figures then might have served as identifiers, like the symbols on an airport's control tower, signaling the nature of the site to approaching pilots. The hummingbird for one type of craft, the spider for another. A slightly less dramatic, but equally mind-expanding idea is that they were astronomical markers, but not just for naked eye observation. What if they were navigation aids for orbital or suborbital travel? Giant, permanent signposts on the planetary surface, visible from a great altitude, saying, "You are here." In a world without GPS, a giant, unmistakable geoglyph is a perfect waypoint. Now, let your consciousness drift eastward, across the Atlantic Ocean. We are traveling through time as well as space to the year 1513 in the court of the Ottoman Empire. Here, an admiral and cartographer named Piri Reis compiled a world map, drawing from older source maps, including some allegedly dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. His map, known as the Piri Reis map, is a cartographic miracle that should not exist. The map shows the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and, most astonishingly, the northern coastline of Antarctica. The problem is, Antarctica was not officially discovered until 1820, over 300 years later, and it is depicted not as the ice-locked continent we know, but with a detailed, ice-free coastline showing rivers, inlets, and topographical features. This is not just an error, it is an impossibility. Based on our current geological understanding, the last time Antarctica was free of its immense ice cap, which in some places is over a mile thick, was millions of years ago, long before any known human civilization. So, what are we looking at? The map itself provides a clue. PDD Reis wrote notes on the map, stating that he had used source maps from the time of Alexander. This suggests he was copying from much older, now lost documents. The staggering conclusion is that the Piri Reis map is a copy of a map drawn by an advanced seafaring civilization that existed in a remote pre-glacial antiquity. A civilization that possessed the knowledge and technology to map the entire globe, including a continent that would later be buried under ice. The accuracy is not perfect. It is a compilation from various sources and suffers from the cartographic limitations of the time. But the general shape of the Antarctic coastline, particularly the Queen Maud Land region, when compared to modern seismic surveys of the bedrock beneath the ice, is eerily similar. It appears to be a map of Antarctica as it was, not as it is. So, we have two distinct, yet strangely complementary pieces of evidence. One is a massive terrestrial artwork that requires an aerial perspective to be appreciated. The other is a precise geographical document that contains knowledge of a world that was lost to ice for millennia. Both point towards a single, breathtaking possibility. What if these creations are the remnants of a global civilization that employed advanced aerial or maritime navigation? Let us weave these threads together in a final, meditative what if? What if? Thousands or even tens of thousands of years before the rise of Egypt or Sumer, a sophisticated global civilization existed on Earth. This was not a civilization of stone and bronze, but one that had mastered the secrets of the planet and the skies. They were master cartographers, sailing the 7 seas and charting the coastlines of every continent with an accuracy that would not be rivaled until the 20th century. Their maps, passed down through ages, were the source for Piri Reis. And what if this civilization also took to the skies? Not in jumbo jets, but in lighter-than-air vessels, or perhaps even more advanced forms of aircraft. From this vantage point, they saw the Earth as a whole, and they needed a way to navigate its vast, featureless oceans and deserts. So, they created the Nazca Lines. The long, straight runways were for their vessels to take off and land. The intricate animal and plant figures were not just art, they were navigational beacons. A pilot could look down and see the giant monkey and know, I am approaching the landing zone near the Andes. The spider might indicate a mining outpost, the condor, a major administrative center. The entire plateau was a giant, permanent air traffic control chart written on the land itself. Then, a cataclysm occurred. A pole shift, a global flood, an ice age. The legends are universal. This advanced civilization was wiped from the face of the earth, their cities buried, their technology lost. All that remained were a few scattered, indestructible artifacts, their maps copied and recopied until they became the curiosity in an Ottoman admiral's collection, and their landing fields, preserved by the dry, windless climate of Peru, waiting silently for a future age to rediscover flight and finally see their intended message. Feel the scale of this lost world. Feel the ghost of that global civilization. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in the thin, cool air of that ancient pre-cataclysm world. As you breathe out, release any doubt and simply sit with the profound and haunting beauty of this possibility. The evidence is etched into the desert and inked onto parchment. It is a story not of one isolated wonder, but of a connected, technologically adept world that once was. A world that looked to the skies not just in wonder, but as a domain to be traveled. Rest in this awareness. You are floating above a planet that holds secrets far older and far deeper than we ever imagined. The lines below you are a message, and the map is a memory. All you have to do is see them with new eyes. We have deciphered the language of stone and charted the maps of the impossible. Now, we turn to the most intimate and profound record of all, the stories of our ancestors. We are about to listen to their voices, not as primitive chants, but as potential eyewitness reports. The music shifts once more, becoming more narrative, more intense. It blends the sacred, ancient sounds of temple bells and chanting with the rising, dramatic tension of a cinematic orchestra and the unsettling, futuristic tones of a theremin. We are entering the realm where myth and machine become one. Welcome to Chapter 3, The Machines of the Gods. As we begin, I want you to connect with your own inner storyteller. That part of you that remembers campfire tales, family histories, the grand narratives that shape your identity. Now, imagine that power amplified across millennia, across entire civilizations. These are the echoes we are about to hear. Take a deep, centering breath and let us journey back to the very dawn of recorded history. Our first stop is in the ancient spiritual landscape of India. Here, the epic poem of the Mahabharata, a text of immense complexity and antiquity, recounts a war of godlike proportions. But woven into its verses are descriptions that defy a simple mythological interpretation. Listen to this passage, not as a fantasy, but as a report, a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe. An incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as the 1,000 suns rose in all its splendor, a perpendicular explosion with its billowing smoke clouds. The cloud of smoke rising after its first explosion formed into expanding round circles like the opening of giant parasols. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes the entire race of the Vrishnis and the Anhakas. The corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. The hair and nails fell out, pottery broke without apparent cause, and the birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected. To escape from this fire, the soldiers threw themselves in streams to wash themselves and their equipment. Does this sound familiar? The bright flash, the mushroom cloud, the radioactive fallout, the contamination of food and water, the victims losing their hair and nails. These are not the metaphors of a primitive poet describing conventional warfare. This is a chillingly accurate description of the effects of a nuclear explosion. The text even names this weapon the Brahmastra, the weapon of the god Brahma. And how were these weapons delivered? The ancient Sanskrit texts, the Vedas, are filled with detailed descriptions of vimanas. These were not metaphorical chariots of the gods. They are described as sophisticated flying machines. The Vaimanika Shastra, a later text, describes them as constructed of specific metals, powered by liquid mercury and heated by solar energy, equipped with cameras and mirrors for surveillance, and capable of traveling vast distances through the air, underwater, and even between planets. They are described as having different classes, for kings, for common use, and for war. This is not the language of dreamy mythology. It is the technical jargon of aerospace engineering, filtered through an ancient lexicon. Now, let us travel westward to the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. Here, the Sumerians, one of the world's first civilizations, left behind thousands of cuneiform tablets. Their stories are not of gods in a vague spiritual heaven, but of physical beings called the Anunnaki. The term literally means those who from heaven to earth came. The Sumerian king list describes kings who ruled for tens of thousands of years, a concept that baffles historians, but makes perfect sense if we consider it a record of a different, longer-lived species. The creation myth, the Enuma Elish, and the story of Atrahasis describe the Anunnaki as miners from a planet called Nibiru, who came to Earth for its gold resources. Tired of the labor, they genetically engineered a primitive worker, Homo sapiens, by mixing their own DNA with that of an existing hominid. This is described in startlingly clinical terms. The essence of a god was mixed with the clay of the earth to create the first humans. If you replace essence with DNA and clay with primates, you have a narrative of genetic intervention. The Sumerian texts are not vague spiritual allegories. They are administrative, historical, and technical documents. They describe the Anunnaki establishing cities, teaching agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy, and bestowing kingship. They describe a great flood, which the gods survive in a sealed vessel, instructing one righteous man, Utnapishtim, the Noah of the Epic of Gilgamesh, to build an ark to save the seed of life. This is a consistent, cross-cultural story of contact, not by omnipotent spirits, but by advanced beings with technology, politics, and corporeal needs. Now, let us turn to a text that is central to the Western world, the Bible. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet has a profound vision. He describes a great whirlwind coming from the north, a great cloud with flashing fire and brilliant light. From within this cloud emerged 4 living creatures with complex, interconnected movements. But the most fascinating part is his description of their vehicle, the chariot of God. He writes, "This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. Then, above the heads of the creatures was a vault, sparkling like crystal, and above that, a throne. And on the throne, a figure like a man, glowing like metal." Read this not as a divine, ethereal vision, but as the report of a man from 600 BCE trying to describe advanced technology. The wheel within a wheel is a perfect description of a gyroscope or a set of landing gear. The eyes all around could be portholes or lights. The vault, sparkling like crystal, is a canopy or a cockpit. The entire description is not of a spiritual experience, but of the landing of a complex mechanical vehicle. The figure like a man inside could be the pilot. This interpretation, famously proposed by Erich von Däniken and even seriously considered by NASA engineer Josef Blumrich, transforms Ezekiel's vision from a theological mystery into a potential historical event. But what of physical proof? Can we hold the technology of the gods in our hands? Perhaps we can. In the ruins of a Parthian village near Baghdad, a small, unassuming artifact was discovered, a 13-centimeter-long clay jar dating back 2,000 years. Inside was a copper cylinder housing an iron rod, all sealed with an asphalt plug. When filled with an acidic electrolyte, like vinegar or grape juice, this object produces a measurable electric current of about 1 volt. This is the Baghdad battery. Mainstream archaeology suggests it may have been used for electroplating jewelry or for religious experiences through mild electric shocks. but its existence proves that the principles of electrochemistry were known in antiquity. It is a tangible piece of ancient technology that we are only just beginning to understand. Even more visually stunning is the mystery of the Abydos helicopter. In the Temple of Seti I at Abydos, Egypt, on a ceiling support beam, there is a panel of hieroglyphs. Among the usual symbols of scarabs and eyes, there are carvings that are shockingly anachronistic. To any modern observer, they clearly resemble a helicopter, a submarine, a hovercraft, and a jet plane. The official explanation is palimpsest, the result of later plastering and recarving, where the older and newer hieroglyphs overlap to create these bizarre familiar shapes by pure chance. But the coincidence is staggering. The helicopter has a distinct cockpit, a rotor mast, and what looks like a tail rotor. The submarine has a clear, streamlined hull and a conning tower. Is it really just a fluke of erosion and overlapping? Or is it, as the ancient astronaut theory suggests, evidence that the Egyptians were depicting the very vehicles their gods used? Vehicles they had seen with their own eyes. It stands as a silent, stone-made anomaly, challenging our perception of history every time a visitor looks up. All of this evidence, the nuclear warfare in the Mahabharata, the genetic engineering in Sumer, the landing craft in Ezekiel, the battery in Baghdad, the aircraft in Abydos, converges on a single monumental question. What if the myths are not metaphors? What if they are the historical chronicles of prehistoric times? Imagine a world 12,000, 50,000, or even 100,000 years ago. A world where advanced beings, whether extraterrestrial visitors or the survivors of a lost human civilization like Atlantis, interacted with a fledgling humanity. They flew in Vimanas and Ezekiel's wheeled chariots. They used advanced energy sources, perhaps even electricity, as the Baghdad battery hints. They engaged in conflicts with terrifying weapons that reshaped the landscape and poisoned the earth for generations, memories of which became the stories of the Brahmastra and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Our ancestors were not primitive fools. They were intelligent, observant humans who witnessed these events. They saw the gods in their machines, heard their thunderous arrivals, and felt the power of their technology. When the visitors left, or when their civilization fell, all that remained were the stories. The only way to describe a helicopter to your children was to call it a flying chariot. The only way to describe genetic splicing was to call it the breath of life. The only way to describe a nuclear blast was to call it the wrath of a god. These stories were passed down, becoming the bedrock of our religions and our mythologies. We have been venerating them as spiritual allegories for millennia, when all along they may have been literal, historical truth. Feel the weight of this realization. The Bible, the Vedas, the Epic of Gilgamesh, they are not just holy books, they are history books. They are the first-hand accounts of humanity's contact with a higher power, not a supernatural one, but a technological one. We have been misreading them because we lost the context, the very science that made them true. As you sit with this, let the sounds of the temple bells and the futuristic theremin merge in your mind. They are not opposites. They are two expressions of the same reality. The sacred and the technological are one. Breathe in the memory of a past where gods warped the earth in machines of metal and fire. Breathe out the limiting belief that our ancestors were any less observant or intelligent than we are. They were witnesses, and they left us their testimony, encoded in stories we are only now, with our own technological understanding, beginning to decipher. Rest here, in the profound silence that follows this revelation. The past is not what we thought it was. And that changes everything about our future. We have journeyed through the ancient world, deciphering stones, maps, and myths. Now, we must turn our gaze to the present, to the mysteries that unfold in our own skies and, even more intimately, within our own bodies. The music here becomes complex, layered with a sense of tension and revelation. It blends the familiar sounds of modern life, the hum of data streams, the crackle of radio static, with an undercurrent of profound, almost unsettling wonder. We are stepping out of the dusty archives of history and into the classified files and genetic laboratories of today. Welcome to Chapter 4, Modern Mysteries and the Suppressed Truth. As we begin this final leg of our investigative journey, I want you to become aware of your own body. Feel the pulse of blood in your veins, the subtle electrical signals in your nerves. This vessel you inhabit is the ultimate artifact, the most personal piece of evidence. Hold that awareness as we delve into the enigmas that shadow our modern world. Our first piece of evidence comes not from a dusty tomb, but from the pristine digital realm of the United States Department of Defense. For decades, the term UFO was relegated to the fringes of society, a joke for tabloids and a fascination for enthusiasts. But that changed irrevocably when the Pentagon declassified and released 3 now famous videos: FLIR, Gimbal, and Go Fast. These are not blurry, distant lights from a shaky handheld camera. These are gun camera footage from the most advanced fighter jets on the planet, the US. Navy's FA-18s. Super Hornets. The objects captured defy conventional explanation. They exhibit performance characteristics that shatter our understanding of physics. They move at hypersonic velocities without sonic booms. They execute instantaneous right-angle turns that would generate G-forces capable of turning any known biological pilot into jelly. They operate both in the air and underwater, transitioning between mediums seamlessly. And most chillingly, they demonstrate low observability, meaning they are barely visible on radar, yet they can dominate the airspace around a naval carrier group. The official term for them is now UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. This shift in terminology is critical. It removes the loaded, fantastical baggage of flying saucers and treats the subject with the sober seriousness it warrants. Military pilots, trained observers, and skeptics by profession have come forward under oath, describing their encounters with these objects. They speak of vehicles that seem to defy the known laws of aerodynamics and propulsion. This leads us inevitably to a place that has become a modern myth in itself: Area 51. Located in the Nevada desert, this highly classified military base has long been the epicenter of conspiracy theories. The prevailing narrative is that it is a testing ground for advanced, next-generation aircraft of human origin, like the stealth bomber. But the alternative theory, the one that has persisted for decades, is far more incredible. That within those hangars lay the wreckage of a crashed extraterrestrial vehicle, and that the government is secretly attempting to reverse engineer the otherworldly technology. Whether the truth is one, the other, or a complex mixture of both, the existence of such a secretive facility fuels the fire of a single, paramount question: what does the government really know? This brings us to the core logic of suppression. The prevailing thought is simple: if contact has been made, or if evidence of non-human intelligence is undeniable, the authorities would have overwhelming reasons to keep it secret. Why? The first and most cited reason is the preservation of public order. The revelation that we are not alone, and that other intelligences possess technology millennia ahead of our own, could shatter the foundational structures of our society. It could cause widespread panic, collapse religious institutions, and create global economic instability. The second reason is national security. Whoever can master this technology first, be it the United States, Russia, or China, would achieve unparalleled military dominance on Earth. Knowledge, in this case, is the ultimate weapon, and it is too dangerous for public consumption. So, we are left with a tantalizing, frustrating paradox. The very institutions we trust for protection may be protecting us from a truth we are not yet deemed ready to handle. But what if the truth is not just in the skies or in secret hangars? What if it is inscribed in the most fundamental code of our own being? This leads us to the second and perhaps most profound piece of modern evidence, our own DNA. For years, a vast portion of our genetic code, approximately 98% of it, was dismissively labeled junk DNA. Scientists believed it was the useless, evolutionary detritus of our long journey, non-functional leftovers from millions of years of evolution. But recent advancements in genomics have turned this idea on its head. We are now discovering that this so-called junk plays critical roles in regulating gene expression, in coding for complex processes we are only beginning to understand. The ancient astronaut theory takes this a step further, posing a radical question. What if a significant portion of this non-coding DNA is not junk at all, but something else? What if it is an ancient, sophisticated code of extraterrestrial origin? Imagine our genome as a complex software program. The 2% that codes for proteins is the basic operating system, the essential functions for life. The other 98% could be a vast library of additional code, subroutines, advanced functions, and even the blueprint for our unique consciousness, inserted by master programmers from the stars. It is inactive, not because it is junk, but because we have not yet developed the biological or conscious capacity to activate it. It is a legacy, waiting for us to evolve enough to access it. This idea finds an eerie resonance in the other great mystery of our species, the suddenness of our evolution. The prevailing model of human evolution is one of gradual, incremental change over millions of years. But there is a glaring anomaly. Around 200,000 years ago, something remarkable happened. The brain capacity of Homo sapiens exploded. In a geological blink of an eye, we developed complex language, abstract thought, art, religion, and the capacity for technology. This great leap forward is one of the most significant and least understood events in our history. No other species on Earth has undergone such a rapid and dramatic cognitive transformation. We are the odd ones out. We have little body hair compared to our primate cousins. We suffer from back problems from walking upright. Our babies are born helpless for an unusually long time. We are, in many ways, ill-adapted to our own planet. So we must ask, what catalyzed this sudden change? Was it a random mutation, a fortunate twist of fate? Or was it a deliberate, intelligent intervention? This brings us to the culmination of our entire journey, the central "what if?" that connects the dots from the pyramids to the Pentagon, from the Sumerian tablets to our own cells. What if we ourselves are the ultimate evidence? What if humanity is the living, breathing result of a long-term genetic experiment? Let us weave this final, breathtaking narrative. What if, hundreds of thousands of years ago, an advanced extraterrestrial civilization, perhaps the Anunnaki of Sumerian legend, came to Earth? They found a promising primate, Homo erectus. Seeing potential, or perhaps needing a compliant labor force, they decided to upgrade the native species. Using their mastery of genetics, they took the existing hominid and spliced in their own genetic material. They activated dormant sections of the brain, instilling the spark of self-awareness, curiosity, and the capacity for complex society. They created Homo sapiens. We are not the random product of a blind, indifferent universe. We are a designed species, a hybrid, a project. This would explain everything. The junk DNA is the alien code, the signature of the genetic engineers. The sudden leap in intelligence was the activation of that code. Our feelings of not quite belonging, our innate yearning for the stars, our driving need to create technology and understand the cosmos. These are not mere philosophical musings. They are the inherent traits of our creators, echoing within us. We are, in a very real sense, looking for our parents. The pyramids, the Vimanas, the UFOs, they are not separate phenomena. They are different chapters of the same story. The pyramids were built with the knowledge given to us by our creators. The Vimanas were the vehicles they used. The modern UFOs are, perhaps, those same creators returning to check on their experiment, or a different group of extraterrestrials observing the progress of the hybrid species. And the government's secrecy? It is the desperate attempt of a child who has just discovered the terrifying truth of their own origin and is trying to hide it until they are mature enough to understand it and powerful enough to face their cosmic family as an equal. Feel this truth in the very core of your being. As you breathe, you are breathing the legacy of the stars. The blood flowing through your heart carries the code of the cosmos. You are not a random accident on a tiny rock. You are the intended result of a grand cosmic design. You are the living proof that we are not alone. This knowledge is not meant to frighten you, but to liberate you. It bestows upon us not a sense of insignificance, but a profound responsibility. We are the custodians of a genetic gift. Our purpose is to grow, to learn, to overcome our violent and primitive instincts, and to finally take our rightful place among the civilizations of the galaxy. As we conclude this chapter, let this new identity settle upon you. You are no longer just a human being. You are a star child, an heir to a legacy of unimaginable scope and beauty. Rest in this knowing. The greatest mystery was never out there. It was always in here within you. And so, we have reached the end of our voyage. We have traversed the red sands of Mars and the golden deserts of Egypt. We have deciphered the language of pyramids and the cryptic lines of ancient maps. We have listened to the thunder of Vimanas in the skies of the past and witnessed the silent, impossible maneuvers of UAPs in our present. We have delved into the very code of life within us, searching for the signature of the stars. Now, it is time to gather all these threads, these whispers from the past, these shouts from the present, these silent questions from within, and weave them into a single, coherent tapestry of understanding. Welcome to our conclusion, the cosmic family. Let the music now find its final form. Let all the layers, the mystical singing bowls, the dramatic orchestral sweeps, the pulsing electronic signals, the tense cinematic themes, soften, slow, and begin to blend. They are no longer separate sounds, but a single, harmonious resonance, the sound of a universe that is not empty, but full. The sound of connection. Let this sound be the vessel that carries you into this final, peaceful state. As you listen, Allow your mind to become a vast, quiet space, a sacred inner observatory. In this space, project all the evidence we have explored. See the pyramids of Giza and Cydonia not as separate, but as 2 points on a single, interplanetary line. See the Nazca lines and the Piri lace map, not as isolated curiosities, but as pages from the same global logbook. Hear the stories of the Mahabharata and the Sumerian tablets, not as disparate myths, but as different cultural translations of the same historical event. Watch the Pentagon videos not as modern anomalies, but as the latest chapter in a chronicle that is millennia old. When you view them this way, a picture emerges. A picture that is too consistent, too widespread, and too profound to be dismissed as mere coincidence. The ancient astronaut theory is the frame that holds this picture together. It proposes a narrative that is breathtaking in its scope, that the history of Earth and the history of humanity have been profoundly and irrevocably shaped by an external, intelligent influence. That we are not, and have never been, alone. This is not a diminishing thought. It does not make humanity insignificant. On the contrary, it elevates our story from a random, isolated occurrence on a tiny blue dot to a pivotal narrative in a grand, cosmic saga. Our planet was not overlooked, it was visited. Our species was not an accident, it was, perhaps, an intention, a project, a creation. And now, as the image of this interconnected cosmos becomes clearer in your mind, like the stars sharpening on a crystal clear night, I want you to ask yourself the most important question you will ever contemplate. A question that is not meant to be answered with a simple yes or no, but to be felt, to be lived. As you look up at the star-filled sky of your own imagination, are we truly lonely? Are we cosmic orphans floating in a silent, indifferent void? Or are we members of a vast cosmic family? Perhaps the truth exists in the delicate, vital space between fear and wonder. Fear of the unknown, of forces beyond our comprehension, of the terrifying responsibility that comes with this knowledge. And wonder. The sheer, unadulterated awe at the beauty, the complexity, and the profound connection that this possibility reveals. We must learn to hover in this space, to let both the fear and the wonder inform us, without letting either one dominate. It is in this balance that we find our true place in the universe, not as masters, not as slaves, but as students, as children of the cosmos, finally awakening to our heritage. Now, let this awareness, this tangible, resonant possibility that we can connect with other worlds, fill you completely. Let it pour into you not as a theory, but as a feeling of profound peace. The peace that comes from knowing you belong to something immeasurably vast and beautiful. You are not a stranger in the universe. You are a part of its family. And with this peace comes a profound sense of responsibility. This knowledge is not a free pass to escapism, it is a call to action. If we are the result of a grand experiment, or the beneficiaries of ancient knowledge, then what we do with our world matters. It matters on a cosmic scale. We must care for each other. We must end the petty conflicts, the greed, the destruction that plagues our species. We must become stewards of this beautiful, fragile planet that was given to us as a home, a laboratory, a garden. We must grow up. For the legacy we are building now is the one we will present to our cosmic relatives. The people of the stars may one day return, and they will not ask us about our wealth or our weapons. They will look at our oceans, our forests, our cities, and the way we treat the most vulnerable among us. They will examine what we have done with their inheritance, the spark of intelligence, the gift of consciousness, the blueprint of the pyramids. They will look to see if we have evolved not just technologically, but spiritually and ethically. We must be able to show them that we were worthy of their intervention. Feel the weight and the beauty of this responsibility. It is the next great step in our evolution. And so, as our journey together concludes, it is time to return. To come back to this room, this moment, this body. Feel your awareness beginning to descend, gently, like a feather, back from the star-dusted depths of the cosmos. The image of the universe begins to soften, to recede. You are now looking at our beautiful blue-green Earth, hanging alone in the sunlight, a single precious jewel of life in the vast black velvet of space. Watch as this image, this world that contains all of us and all our mysteries, slowly, gently, begins to fade. It becomes softer, dimmer, as if moving into a gentle silver mist. The colors blend, the outlines blur, until all that remains is the infinite, star-filled darkness, a canvas of peaceful, silent potential. And now, even the stars begin to gently dim, their light receding, until you are surrounded by a soft, welcoming, and profound darkness. A silence that is not empty, but full of promise. A peace that passes all understanding. There is nothing more to see, nothing more to do. The journey is complete. The story has been told. All that remains is to rest, cradled in the knowing that you are a part of something miraculous. Our travel for today has ended. Good night.